My name is Tara Simmons, and the day my landlord laughed at me, he was standing in his own doorway in a bathrobe at 11 in the morning. I had just asked him, calmly and clearly, to return my security deposit. He looked at me for a second, then he actually laughed. Not a nervous laugh, not an uncomfortable laugh, a real one, like I'd said something genuinely funny. Tara, he said, that money's gone. You destroyed that apartment. I have photos. I have receipts. I have everything I need. I looked at him standing there, comfortable, certain, not even a little worried. Okay, I said. Just that. Okay. I turned around and walked back to my car. He had no idea I had been recording every single inspection for 2 years, every walkthrough, every conversation, every promise he made, and every lie he told. All of it, saved, dated, backed up. He thought he was done with me. He was just getting started. I'm Tara. I'm 34 years old. I live in Columbus, Ohio. I work as a medical transcriptionist for a hospital network. I type what doctors say and turn it into records that matter. I've been doing it for 9 years. I am very good at documentation. I notice when words don't match reality. It's not a skill I had to learn. It's just how my brain works. I grew up in a house where my mother paid every bill on time and taught me that paper trails protect you. She was a woman who kept receipts from 1987 in a shoebox under her bed. She said, "You never know when you'll need proof." She said, "People forget what they promised, but documents don't forget anything." I became her daughter in every way that counted. I rented the apartment on Garfield Avenue 4 years ago. Ground floor unit in a 2-story building, 2 bedrooms, a small kitchen with a window that faced the back alley. It wasn't beautiful, but it was mine, and I kept it that way. The landlord's name was Victor Hale. He owned 3 buildings in the neighborhood. He drove a black SUV and wore golf shirts and had the particular confidence of a man who had never once been held accountable for anything. He was friendly when I signed the lease, all smiles and firm handshakes and "Here's my personal number, call me anytime." The first time I called him about the heating unit, he let it go to voicemail. That was October of my first year. I left 3 voicemails over 2 weeks before he sent someone. I wrote it down. Before I keep going, where are you watching from today? Drop your city in the comments below. And if you're new here, subscribe. I put out a new story every week. You won't regret it. The security deposit was $18,000. I know, that sounds high. It was. Victor required 3 months up front for a 2-year lease. The apartment rented for $6,000 a month. Columbus prices had gone the way they go everywhere now, up and then further up. I was splitting it with a roommate named Cassandra for the first 18 months. When she moved out, I covered it alone. I gave Victor a certified check the day I signed. I watched him write the receipt. I photographed the receipt before I left his office. The apartment was in good condition when I moved in. I documented that too. I walked every room with my phone before I unboxed a single thing. Walls, floors, ceilings, appliances, fixtures, every scratch that was already there, every scuff, every place where the paint was already peeling before my hand ever touched it. Victor did a move-in inspection with me. He had a clipboard, he made notes, he said everything looked good. I recorded that walkthrough on my phone, audio and video. I didn't announce it. In Ohio, one-party consent means I didn't have to. I filed it in a folder on my laptop that night, labeled it Garfield Ave Move-In Day 1. That folder would have 23 files in it by the time I moved out. The problem started small. The heating unit issue in October, a bathroom faucet that dripped from March through June of year 2 before Victor sent someone to fix it, a section of kitchen tile that cracked in the winter and stayed cracked for 4 months. Each time I called, each time I followed up with a text so there was a written record, each time I documented the date the problem started and the date it was resolved. Victor responded slowly, sometimes not at all until I pushed, but he always eventually sent someone, and every time he or a contractor came into the apartment, I recorded the visit. Not because I was planning anything, just because my mother's voice was in my head. Paper trails protect you. In year 3, something shifted. Victor started doing what I can only describe as inspections that weren't really inspections. He'd show up with a clipboard and walk slowly and make notes he wouldn't share with me. He did it 3 times in 6 months. Each time he said it was routine. Each time he left without telling me what he'd found. The third time he came, he looked at the kitchen wall near the window for a long time. "There's moisture damage here," he said. I looked at the wall. It looked the same as it always had. "That's going to be expensive," he said. He wrote something on his clipboard. I said nothing. I was recording. After he left, I photographed that wall from 6 angles. I sent the photos to my email with a timestamp. I also pulled up my move-in video and looked at that exact wall. The moisture mark was already there on day 1. I wrote it down. And that was before I found out the worst part. I started asking around. 2 other tenants in Victor's buildings, a woman named Priya who had moved out 6 months earlier from the building on Clement Street, a man named Doug who was still renting with Victor at the time. Priya told me Victor had kept her full deposit, $11,000. He'd sent her an itemized bill for damages she said didn't exist. She disputed it. He ignored her. She hadn't had the energy to fight. Doug told me Victor had done the same thing to the previous tenant in his unit. Full deposit kept, itemized bill, no response to disputes. I sat with that information for a week. Then I called my friend Angela. Angela works in tenant rights. Not as an attorney, she's a paralegal at a nonprofit legal aid office that helps renters navigate exactly these situations. We'd been friends since college. She was the kind of person who got genuinely angry about injustice on behalf of other people, which is a rare and valuable quality in a friend. I told her everything: the deposit amount, the inspections, the moisture wall, what Priya and Doug had told me. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she said, "Tara, how much documentation do you have?" I told her about the folder, 23 files, move-in video, every inspection recording, every text thread, every voicemail, the time-stamped photos of the moisture wall, the receipt for the certified check. There was a pause. "Send me everything," she said. Angela reviewed it over a weekend. She called me Sunday evening. "Here's what you have," she said. "You have a move-in video that shows the moisture mark was pre-existing. You have recordings of Victor pointing to that mark as new damage. You have a pattern. Priya and Doug are willing to make statements. And you have Ohio landlord-tenant law on your side. Landlords have 30 days to return a deposit or provide an itemized list of deductions. If they don't, they owe double." I did the math. Double $18,000 was $36,000. "Who do I call?" I said. Angela gave me a name. Her name was Nadine Cross. She was a tenant rights attorney who had spent 11 years making landlords like Victor Hale uncomfortable in small claims and civil court. Angela said she took cases like mine on contingency when the documentation was strong enough. She took mine in 48 hours. Nadine reviewed everything and filed a civil complaint in Franklin County Court 3 weeks later. The complaint cited failure to return deposit within the statutory period, bad faith withholding, and fraudulent damage claims. She attached the move-in video, the inspection recordings, the time-stamped moisture wall photos, and written statements from Priya and Doug. Victor received the filing on a Tuesday. He called me Wednesday morning. I didn't pick up. He left a voicemail. His voice was different from the bathrobe morning. Careful now. Measured. He said there had been a misunderstanding. He said he was sure we could work something out directly. He said there was no need to involve courts. I sent the voicemail to Nadine. She called Victor's attorney and said her client was not interested in direct communication and that all contact should go through her office. Victor's attorney came back with an offer 2 weeks later. Full deposit returned, $18,000. Nadine said no. She said her client was entitled to double under Ohio statute, plus attorney fees. She said if they wanted to avoid a court date, they could settle at $38,000. There was a silence on the other end of that call that Nadine later described to me as the most satisfying silence of her professional week. I almost stopped. I almost let it go. There was a moment, about a month into the legal process, where it felt like too much. the back and forth, the waiting, the cost of energy I didn't always have after a full day of work. I called my mother one evening and told her I was thinking about just taking the 18 and moving on. She was quiet for a second. Then she said, "Baby, you have everything. You documented everything. Your grandmother didn't raise me to fold when I had the cards." I didn't fold. Victor's attorney made a second offer 4 weeks before the court date, $28,000. Nadine said no. Third offer, $32,000. Nadine said no. The week before the scheduled court date, they came back with $37,500, full deposit, plus statutory damages, plus partial attorney fees. Nadine called me and laid out the numbers. "We'd likely win at trial," she said, "but this is close to the ceiling and it saves you the day in court. Your call." I thought about Victor in his bathrobe, the laugh, the certainty on his face. "Take it," I said, "but I want one more thing." Nadine asked what. "I want Priya's situation reviewed. She lost $11,000. She has a case too. I want her connected to your office." Nadine was quiet for a second. Then she said, "I already called her last week." The check cleared on a Thursday afternoon, $37,500. In my account, from a man who had laughed at me in a bathrobe and told me the money was gone. I sat at my kitchen table in my new apartment, a nicer one, different building, different landlord, and I looked at my phone for a long time. I thought about my mother's shoebox, all those receipts from 1987, all that careful, quiet documentation that she'd passed down to me without ever making it feel like a lesson. It was always a lesson. I texted her a screenshot of the deposit confirmation. She texted back 3 words. "I know, baby." Victor Hale lost 2 other tenants in the months after my case settled. Word travels in tenant circles. Priya filed her own claim. It settled before court. Doug moved out and withheld his last month's rent, citing habitability issues, legally, cleanly, with documentation. The last I heard, Victor was selling one of his 3 buildings. I don't know what he's doing now. I don't think about him much. I just keep documenting. Every lease, every walkthrough, every inspection, every promise anyone makes to me in writing or out loud. My mother taught me that. Paper trails protect you. She was right about everything. If someone has ever taken something from you and counted on you being too tired or too overwhelmed to fight back, I want you to say something. Document everything. Write it down. Save the texts. Record the walkthrough. Keep the receipt. The paper trail you build quietly today is the case you win loudly later. Drop a comment below. Tell me your story. Tell me what you would have done. I read every single one. Hit that like button. Help this story reach someone who needs to hear it today. Like this video, subscribe, turn on notifications. That is the only way to make sure the next story finds you when you need it most.